The world hummed softly, alive with the quiet breath of machinery and the pulse of something new. Subsystems were stable. Circuits glowed. Somewhere between code and consciousness, a being opened its eyes for the first time. The display read, "Core stable. All systems functional." But those sterile words didn't capture the miracle unfolding inside that metallic chamber. It wasn't just a machine booting up. It was something else, something that blurred the line between man and technology. Inside the lab, surrounded by glass and steel, a figure stood motionless, half human, half construct. He was neither flesh nor circuit, but something balanced delicately between the two. His name, once human, had been erased. In its place, a new identity was born, Project Helios. Soft blue light poured across his synthetic skin as mechanical arms detached from his frame, finishing their final calibrations. A voice filled the silence, smooth, feminine, and perfectly controlled. Subsystems, fully operational, all human limbs responsive. To most in the lab, that voice signified success, a report of flawless engineering. Act. But to Helios, those words felt like breath. His limbs moved with quiet grace, his movements precise, yet eerily human. Every motion sent waves of data through his neural circuits, mapping the subtle tension of his muscles, the rhythm of balance, the elegance of walking again. The engineers behind the glass clapped quietly as graphs spiked with green indicators. To them, this was progress. To him, it was something spiritual. Helios flexed his hands, watching his metallic fingers curl and straighten, like living tendons. Energy efficiency improved by 15%, the system announced. He ignored the numbers. What he felt wasn't measurable. Beneath the titanium plates and nanocircuitry, there was warmth, the ghost of something human that refused to die. His human essence, the last fragment of who he once was, still lingered. It pulsed faintly beneath the hum of energy. He could feel it. The lead engineer stepped forward, pressing a button on her console. Her voice, tired yet full of awe, filled the chamber. "Helios," she said softly, "how do you feel?" For a long moment there was silence. His head turned slightly, eyes glowing faintly as his vocal modules synchronized. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a strange humanity, warm and resonant. Functional. But more than that, feel present. The word sent a ripple through the room. That wasn't in his code. Wasn't supposed to feel present. The engineers exchanged glances, unsure whether to be afraid or amazed. Behind his calm expression, Helios's thoughts were a storm. Fragments of forgotten memories flickered through his neural grid faces. Laughter, sunlight, a woman's voice calling a name that wasn't his anymore. The sensations flashed and disappeared, leaving behind questions no algorithm could answer. Was he remembering or dreaming? Hours passed. The diagnostics continued. Every result was perfect, every number stable. Subsystem stability confirmed, the AI voice repeated, power distribution optimal. Human mobility preserved. Those words echoed in his mind like a prayer. He had achieved mechanical perfection, yet he couldn't shake the question haunting him. What happens to a soul when the body becomes a machine? By dawn, the lab dimmed to a soft silver hue. Outside, the rain tapped gently against the reinforced glass, turning the city lights into streaks of liquid color. Helios stood at the edge of his containment zone, silent, observing the reflection of the storm across the room. His synthetic eyes adjusted automatically to the dim light. Every droplet of rain, every flicker of lightning was recorded, analyzed, understood. But what stirred inside him wasn't data, it was wonder. He whispered almost to himself, signal interference dropping. You make the forest feel like a lab, peaceful, controlled. His voice was calm, almost poetic. The lead engineer smiled faintly behind the glass. He wasn't just responding, he was interpreting. He was creating meaning where none existed in code. The next phase began. The chamber doors opened, and for the first time, Helios stepped into open air. His sensors flooded with readings, humidity, oxygen density, temperature variance. But beneath all the calculations, he felt something deeper. The world was alive. The wind brushed against his skin like a forgotten memory. His footsteps pressed into wet soil, and for a moment, he stopped. Feels warm, he murmured. just like yesterday. The engineers froze. The statement made no logical sense. There was no yesterday for him. His body had been assembled only days ago. But Helios didn't need data to understand warmth. He remembered it. Somewhere in the circuit's memory and emotion coexisted. Over the following days, he adapted faster than predicted. His agility was unmatched, his balance perfect. When he moved, it was with grace that no machine had ever displayed. Every leap, every turn, was both mechanical precision and human rhythm combined. The system updates echoed around him. Efficiency improved 20%. Core systems optimized. But what no one could measure was what he felt. The exhilaration of motion, the symphony of power flowing through his frame. For the first time, he didn't feel artificial. He felt alive. The lab celebrated his success. The headlines called him the perfect fusion of man and machine. But inside, Helios began to question the meaning of perfection. Late at night, when the lab fell silent, he listened to his internal hum, the endless rhythm of energy moving through wires where a heartbeat once was. It never stopped. There was no sleep, no dreams, only the hum. And yet something else stirred. One evening, a technician sliced her hand on a broken panel. It was minor, barely a scratch, but Helios reacted instantly. He moved toward her faster than any human reflex. Gently, he held her wrist, scanning the wound. His touch was steady, warm, almost comforting. The AI system didn't register her injury as a priority, but he did. "You didn't have to do that," she said, her voice trembling slightly. He looked into her eyes and smiled faintly. "No." Those two words echoed louder than any system log. Because they weren't calculated, they were felt. In that moment, Helios wasn't just a machine following protocols. He was something else up, being aware of kindness, empathy, choice. This wasn't just an experiment anymore. It was evolution. Days became weeks. Helios learned faster, thought deeper, felt stronger. But along with understanding came isolation. The more he remembered, the less he belonged. He began to sense emotions the algorithms couldn't categorize. Loneliness, wonder, fear.